I'm ChosenArchitect, and this is the Stoneopolis mod pack. Nothing like the smell of fresh cut hemp and creosote oil in the morning. And welcome back to more Stoneopolis. Now, just to sort of recap, last episode we ended up getting lapis and redstone, and we also ended up getting a coke oven set up. And believe it or not, we got quite far through this pack. And at this point, we now have the ability to produce all kinds of different ingots and materials, including bronze. We can now make iron, and we can also make copper and tin, and we even have the ability to make nickel, aluminum, and silver. Now today should be the day we unlock garden cloches, and me and my friends here should be able to handle all of the automation that is going to take place after the fact. I am so excited for this and so ready. So we have now entered into the heat power section, and this allows us to make a thermoelectric generator that is going to be running off of water and lava and just the heat difference between the two. And then that is going to lead us into power, and that's going to lead us into the engineer's workbench, which should hopefully lead into an easier way to make iron. And that is going to trickle down into the garden cloche, in which we can then pump with water and have the ability to grow all the things, including growing redstone and also growing lapis, believe it or not. So is this a major turning point in this pack? I'm going to say yes. This is a huge game-changing moment, and I cannot wait to start the process. So of course, enough of me rambling on. Let's get started with this. Now, to be able to make the generator here, I do now have lava and thermal shards, and we have plenty of lapis stone alloys, and we're going to need 6 of those to be able to produce this. And I have plenty of these shards, and we also have ourselves bronze. Now, something to note about thermoelectric generators. Typically, when you just have lava and water associated to them or connected to them, it's only going to generate, I believe, 16 FE per tick or RF per tick, which is what this mod typically uses. So in that case, if we know how much power that some things use, we're going to know how many we're going to need, at least to get started. And I do know that at least one garden cloche is going to utilize 8 power per tick. So if I do the math there, one of those electro generators should be able to power, hopefully, 2 garden cloches. Now, I think at the moment, it might be just beneficial for us to just set up at least one garden cloche and one of these generators just to get an idea of how everything goes, and to also get all the infrastructure up and running that will allow us to hopefully make more of them. And then with that knowledge, we can conquer said pack. So for right now, thermo generator crafted. And this is going to unlock another one. So we just get 2 right off the bat. And now this does show a nice design of how this should be set up. Now, using just water and lava, this is how you want it. You want to have your lava and water on exact opposite sides from each other. You don't want to place lava here and lava here, because that would not be on exact opposite sides of each other. So this is the proper configuration for setting this up for power. Now, to be able to move that power, we're going to need LV wire connectors. This allows us to pull power off of things and also send power to things. And then we're going to also need LV wire relays eventually. This is going to allow us to take power from our output, and then we can also move it around the base and have multiple inputs into other machines. And so these are basically a way of stringing your cables together. And then of course, I need LV wire coils. Now these are going to utilize copper nuggets. And so in that regard, we're going to need copper, and it does look like we're going to need a few other things as well, especially terracotta. So terracotta is something that I don't actually have at the moment, but I do have some clay blocks laying around somewhere. There they are. And I should be able to just smelt up some clay blocks for right now and hopefully get this party started. So let's go ahead and grab some LV connectors, and then we'll also grab some LV relays. The relays are so much cheaper to make, but they also don't transmit the power. These actually transmit the power from block to block. So 4 of them is actually just enough, because we have 2 connections that are going to happen here, and we can also hook up 2 garden cloches. I mean, honestly, with 4 of these or 2 of these generators here, we could technically have 4 garden cloches, but for right now, we're just going to stick with what we have. Here I am talking about all these fancy garden cloches, and I haven't even made them yet. Now, this LV wire for right now, this is the method that we're using to actually craft these, but hopefully we'll be able to move to this method before long. This allows us to make significantly more off of our copper because we can double our copper wire from our ingots. Now, some other tools it wants us to make is engineer wire cutters, which will actually allow us to snip the wires mid-air, which I think is the reason why it's actually given to us. And it also wants us to make a battery. And so we should be able to get this bucket of redstone acid from just adding some redstone, and then we can make an LV accumulator. This is a basic battery for the immersive engineering mod. And now it's on to a block that is going to be a game changer. Well, it's kind of more than a block. It's actually a table, and that's going to be the engineer's workbench. So to be able to make this, we just need some treated wood materials, including sticks and a crafting table. So with this, we should be able to make an engineer's crafting table, which in itself is a pretty cool thing. You can actually put materials in there and it will hold it like a chest, and you can craft out of that kind of small chest with your JEI. But we're going to immediately use it to upgrade to something way better. And that's an engineer's workbench. Now with this placed down, it doesn't really do much on its own, just like this. Instead, we're going to have to make ourselves an engineer's blueprint. And this is the one that is going to host components, crafting components specifically. And so with that one made, we should be able to put that in here, and we're going to be able to see some new crafting recipes, including, but not limited to, lapis stone alloy. And now we also have void iron ingots. So we can kind of bypass the whole crafting with the whole nuggets and go straight for crafting like this. However, this is going to cost a coal coke, or it's going to cost, I guess, charcoal. I think charcoal is also on here. Yes, it's going to use charcoal. So we're going to have some sort of charcoal farm set up, but I don't think it's going to be a problem once we have garden cloches up. Now, some other interesting components we're going to need are the incandescent light bulbs. And these just require, it looks like, some copper. We also need some more of those bright shards, which the bright shards, by the way, do use that concrete dust that we have in limited supply at the moment. And so we're going to be able to use that to make at least a few of those. And what else is going to be required? So we can use bamboo in place of paper, but we do have some paper, so we can use that. And we have regular glass. Ooh, and we also need some iron mechanical components, which is going to utilize some more iron, copper, and lapis stone alloy. So it looks like this is going to cost us a bit of iron, but with that new recipe, it may not be as hard as it used to be. Now, while I'm waiting on resources to finish up, I'm going to go ahead and start to finish out a room that we're going to put some garden cloches in and also get our power in. But while I'm in here, I'm going to actually add a few little decorative things. So for example, just adding some random stone here and there instead of just leaving this plain really does add a little bit of spice to the build. And I really like stuff like this. So just a little bit of detail can go a really long way. For example, just by having some leaves here and there, it makes it feel a little bit more organic. Or for example, in this room, just having a little bit of cobblestone here and there, like makes it feel a little bit more separated and not just a giant stone room we're in. Now, while I'm waiting on the iron to sort of build up so we have enough, I'm going to go ahead and place down my thermoelectric generators and then place down the lava, or at least try to. That apparently did place lava down. Okay, but I had an item in my offhand, so I think it just overrode the lava, unfortunately, and I don't have a pick on me, but okay, this should, there we go, place lava in. And we need it on this side for water to be here, lava on this side, water to be here. And for this one, we'll have water here, and then we'll have a lava source here and water here. So these two should be able to activate now from where they're placed. So now I should be able to get all of the water in, and this should start generating some power. And while it's not a lot of power, it is starting somewhere. So I do want to power the accumulator here. So we have a couple of options when doing this, and it is going to cost probably more LV coils than I currently have. Because we have two of the connectors, we want this to end up in one connector line. So to do this, we're going to have an LV relay, and then on here, we're going to have to use up two of our connectors per power source. And we're going to see these are going to start to fill up with power. Then we're going to want to connect these to this relay up here. But we're going to also need a connector to be on the side of this accumulator. But before we do that, we want to make sure that this side is right-clicked with our hammer and set to input mode. And blue for immersive engineering is input, and orange is going to be output. And so now after crafting a few more coils, I can then go ahead and connect that to the connector. And what we should see is this should start to fill this buffer. And this holds 100,000 KFE, or you can just say power per tick. It doesn't really matter. At this point, most energy is all the same. But yes, these are now generating and being stored in a buffer, which is nice. Now on this side is where I actually want to take the connector off. So we are going to set this to the orange mode. Like I said, that's going to be the output. And then I am going to use another connector on this side. And I want this to probably be connected somewhere in the middle of the room, if at all possible, to this connector. So I should be able to go up here and hopefully put this in a position that's not going to be over complicated, I guess I could say. And I just need to connect this cable up to that. So that way I can power anything else that is in this room. And we'll see that cable up there, even though it's pretty dark, it is up there and is functioning. Now the quests do give us a couple of options as far as like ways that we can get water into a system. And I really like the idea of using the fluid pipe, even though it does seem like it's a bit more expensive. This is going to give us 8 different pipes, and if we connect that to a fluid pump, which is going to require 3 of those pipes, this fluid pump can actually supply quite a few cloches. Whereas these floppers, while it's a part of the quest line, it is only going to be basically supplying 1. That is, unless the flopper can actually supply fluid to the pipe, in which it might actually be able to do that. Now, making the incandescent bulbs is quite easy. We can go ahead and I'm just going to make 6 of them for right now. That should be more than enough for this given moment. So I think here we go. We should be able to make this. Now it says it's an unfamiliar item, but I think after this quest, now we should know what it is. Potentially. It still says it's an unfamiliar item, but maybe I have to use it in crafting for this to fully unlock it. I have no idea. This might have been kind of a mistake on this end, but oh well, either way, we have everything sort of unlocked at this point. So now we should be able to put it to the test. And let me grab some of this out of here. And we should be able to now craft a garden cloche. And it just requires a couple of glass, like so. This on the top and this item here. And now we've unlocked the garden cloche. Oh, that is fantastic. And we get another one as a reward. And has that unlocked the ability for us to know what this is? It still hasn't. Now I'm going to continue on with this and I'm going to see if maybe the game stage will unlock for us after maybe a fluid pipe or something. But there we go. And I'm still able to pull them out. Still unidentified, but that's fine. We're going to move on to possibly making the flopper. I want to try this first. Now, ultimately, we definitely want to use a fluid pump, I think, at some point. But for right now, we should be able to automate, I think, a flopper, which is kind of an interesting fluid hopper. So perfect. I now have myself a flopper, and I definitely want to try and set this up and see if we can get this flopper automated. And the way that it works is it works with in-world fluids. So we just need to set up a simple way in-world to get this water in. So let's go ahead and for right now, let's go ahead and place like 2 garden cloches, for example, right here. And on the front is the output. Down here is a redstone slot. We have a power slot on here and on the top. And then right here, we have a fluid input. So this is where we would actually tap into this fluid port. Now, what I'm thinking about doing is using the flopper here to automate some fluids. So now with my trapdoors in place, I should be able to waterlog these. And this should give us an infinite water source right here. I'm going to nab this water for right now, because as soon as I place this in, that should be an infinite water source. We can fill that back in, and you can see this is actually consuming that water. And I'm wondering, is it going to fill this up? And it is. It is actually piping water from the flopper into here. Okay, that is perfect. And that saves us a little bit of power because it would actually cost us power for this particular fluid pump. But I mean, in the future, this isn't going to be that big of a deal to definitely get set up. So I guess now the only thing left to do is to get them powered in. So to be able to get them powered in, we just place these on top and we should be able to link that all the way up to the central point. That is if I can reach up there. So I shouldn't put it so high. But there we go. That is now linked. And we can also get this one linked in just like that. And perfect. This should now have power, which they do. And all we got to do now is actually start putting things inside. So without further ado, let's test this bad boy. So we are going to put the budding lapis in, and then we should be able to put a cluster template up top here. And then this should perform the operations of growing it over time. And then over here, I can just place in some dirt and, for example, put a black sapling in, which is really great because that's going to allow us to get dirt. And this should be ready to go. And I think we can just put a regular chest for right now on the outside, and this will start to fill those inventories. And so just like this, there we go. You can see that it automatically outputs the stuff that it farms. It automatically puts it right into the chest. And this is going to farm 6 logs at a time, and then also grant us leaves every operation. Also, by the way, it does seem like a relog actually fixed my components not showing that I had them identified. It actually seemed like a lot of items were like that. So just a simple relog seemed to fix the issue. Now I just had to kill some mobs, and I ended up getting a loot bag from this, and it dropped some tomato seeds. So yes, from killing the mobs, you can get loot bags apparently, and those loot bags can contain some of the Farmer's Delight stuff. And I think tomatoes were like the only thing. Oh, that's right. No, we do need onions, I do believe, as well. So I still am missing onions, but hey, at least I ended up getting some tomatoes. One step closer to satisfying our cooking needs. Now, the reason I was farming them in the first place was because I wanted to go ahead and connect up another cloche. And this one is going to be powered just like everything else, and the water should just immediately connect because we're using a pipe. So if all is correct and all is right, we should now be able to farm redstone and lapis together. Now to go ahead and satisfy the quest, let's go ahead and make the pump, which is the final part. And that is it for the entire chapter, including the void chapter. And now the only thing we haven't really covered yet is a kind of storage solution. And now I think at this point, it might be a good idea to dive a little bit in the one chapter that we haven't really touched yet, and that is the storage chapter. Now going through this is going to eat a ton of my void nuggets, just judging by this, but we do have access to everything. We have all of the framed aspects of all of the functional storage drawers. So we do even have a framed controller, which just requires a void portal, which is honestly kind of cheap at this point for me to make. So a void portal is just like the one that we have currently in the floor, but we definitely want that because the framed controller, or just the controller alone, is going to make things so much easier for us to just sort of route items. This is going to be 4 of these ingots, and then we're going to be using a ton of these nuggets to end up making the things that we're going to need. So I'm running out of storage, as you can currently see, and I think this is going to be an alleviator of a lot of that. Now to sort of get started, I think some of the things I'm going to want are going to be the 2x2s. So the frame 2x2s are probably one of the cheaper ones to make, and we can make several of these. So there's like 28 of them. And apparently we just completed this chapter. Just by completing any of these caused this whole chapter to complete. I mean, that's basically it. We literally just don't have bone because I haven't had a skeleton spawn. But outside of that, we've completed every chapter thus far, and I'm pretty excited about that. But let's go ahead and take a look, for example, at the 1x1s. These are the ones that I really enjoy, mainly for the things like stone, because they're going to hold quite a few materials. Oh, goodness. That's going to complete for every single one. What? Okay, by the way, you can also buy these via the B-Bucks, in case you didn't know. But I'm kind of saving my B-Bucks. I don't know exactly what I'm going to use them for just yet. Now, I think for the storage, what I kind of want to sort of mix together is the stone, and I think we can use regular stone, and I want to use some of this light gray wood. Now, I think that's going to kind of, it's going to look nice. Now, the way we do this is we are going to take the block, and we put it in the bottom left, and then we can kind of mix and match what we want. So the outer border, I'm fine with being stone, and I want the interior to be the light gray block. So we're gonna put them in this particular order, and that is how this is going to function. So I should be able to grab all of these out, and they do consume the blocks, unfortunately. So that is something to note. Every time you do this, you're going to be consuming some blocks. So it does limit us on how decorative we can be at the start because there's just not a lot of options right now. So now I should be able to put my controller down right in the center, and it really doesn't matter where I put this so long as it can actually connect to my linking tool. But for right now, let's go ahead and get this all lined up and just start placing some of these storages in. So right here are my 2x2s, and I kind of want them placed in like this. I think that looks kind of nice. So kind of evenly distribute them where I can actively reach everything. And I think this is going to work out just fine. And then I can start putting the singles in for right now. Just like so. And then even up top here, because I should be able to reach these. Just like that. Nice. So slowly but surely, it's starting to fill in. I'm going to have to move some things like torches and stuff like that. But yes, this is another room that I cleared off the side of our Cloche room. And this is sort of the design. I just kind of want rooms kind of interlinking into each other. And I want them to kind of feel organic in a way. And then for the fun part, we are going to place in all of the individual saplings. So I think what I want to do for this is every sapling, for example, like the black ones, are going to go in a drawer. That way we can have our leaves, and also we should be able to have like the logs stored in here, and maybe even the planks. And so I'm going to try and organize this the best I can, but it's definitely not going to be perfect. And it's only going to last so long, I'm sure, because I'm still definitely going to need a massive chest monster in here. Now, as I start putting these items in, I definitely want to start linking these together. Even though I don't have all of them here, I can still do that. And to do that, you need the linking tool, and you shift right click on here, and we can actually see the bounding box. And this is a new update. I really do like the fact that the controller has the ability to do this. But you can actually see the bounding boxes whenever you have this selected. But the thing we want to do is actually select all these together. Now you can individually select them, or you can change this to swapping add and hold down shift and right click, and you can set it to multiple. And this will allow you to select this entire area, and you should be able to add all of these. So for example, like this, we can go ahead and select and add. Am I in add mode? Swap to single mode, multiple mode, add mode. I think I was in remove mode. So there we go. And all of those are added. And all of those are added. So now that they're added, anything I add to the drawer, I can just right click onto this GUI here, or right click, I say onto the GUI because I was reading what it said, but right click onto the storage controller, and all of our items that are in our inventory that have a filtered slot already will go into that slot. I mean, if there's room, that is. Oh, I have officially done it. Oh, I got all of the stuff sorted out of the chest, out of this chest monster, and moved into another chest monster. Now that seems kind of redundant that I would do this, but now I have access to a much better sorting solution, so I can just easily pull out these saplings that I have sorted over here, and I can take them over to our, our farming area, and I can farm up these as I need. And I've also gone through and made sure that I knew where these are all going to be stored. For example, this is a blood magic chest. This is just kind of like a string chest for right now. This is going to be just our tool chest that's going to contain a bunch of tools. This is like a blocks chest that can go vertically. Over here are a bunch of plant-based materials. And then I have like some important resources. That's kind of what I would call it. Immersive engineering stuff up here. And then I just have some random chests in here. But like mob drops, for example, going in here. So this is as best as I can do for right now. This is, of course, going to get a little bit better as soon as we get applied energistics. But as far as we have right now, we're just going to deal with this massive chest monster. But for all it's worth, I'm pretty satisfied with how things are starting to come along. And now that we have access to the garden cloches, we have access to a slowly but surely expandable automation network that I am excited to be able to hopefully get up and running. And this might introduce a new hallway that is basically going to contain a ton of these garden cloches. I mean, that's going to happen, I think, because essentially that's the only way, as far as I can see, to harvest a bunch of leaves. So I think it's definitely going to be necessary to at least have a garden cloche for every single type of sapling. Well, that and also our redstone and lapis. And so with that, I hope you guys enjoyed today's episode. Hopefully you learned something new, and hopefully you enjoyed the build thus far, and hopefully you're looking forward to the next episodes to come. And so with that, I bid you farewell, and I wish you would click that subscribe button if you haven't already, and also give this video a huge thumbs up. And with that being said, it is now time to thank the amazing supporter of today's episode. And that amazing thanks is going to go out to RV Blade. Thank you so much, by the way, for your amazing support by choosing to support me over on the Discord and becoming a Discord premium member and gaining access to the supporter servers, world downloads, and all kinds of amazing perks over on the Discord. Thank you so much. And of course, guys, if you're interested in joining the Discord, you can find it linked down in the description below. As if I didn't say Discord enough. And well, guys, I'm looking forward to seeing you, of course, in the next one. And as always, you know how it goes. Thanks for watching. Bye!